get started. So, the first thing, hey, so one of the things that we talked about the other day when we were doing the DBQ together is we talked, okay, guys, so we talked when we were doing the DBQ together. So when we were doing the DBQ together, one of the things that we talked about was that every DBQ needs to be treated like what verb? Like an FRQ, like a free response essay, right? You should be able to write this essay without the documents. Okay, and again, this is one of the old, this is actually a question that has appeared in the AP exam before. Okay, so this one is part of the old one. So on the new ones, you don't get as many documents, which to me is actually better because you have more time, right, to be able to write, a little bit more time to be able to look at those documents, which also means that they expect a little bit more out of you. Okay, so it's, you know, it's two things there, right? So when we look at the question, okay, so describe the ways in which Chief Justice John Marshall's rulings established precedents for national supremacy over states' rights, defined the roles of the Supreme Court and Congress, and provided the constitutional foundation for the economic growth of the United States. That is a mouthful. Yes? Okay. So that is a mouthful. Okay? That is a lot that's being said there, but if there's one thing that we can do, first of all, is extract what the topic is. Right? What is the topic? What is the topic? John Marshall's rulings, right? Or the Supreme Court under John Marshall, right? So we can't just say John Marshall because if we just say John Marshall, then we're going to start like dissecting him, right? Well, let's take walks on the beach, right? And like read under the cover of night. Like it can't just be about him, right? Because it's not like a biography, but it's about John Marshall's rulings, right? Or the Supreme John Marshall as the Chief Justice, right? Or the Supreme Court under Chief Justice John Marshall. That is the topic. So, like everything else, once we can figure out what the topic is, we need to be able, okay, to brainstorm. So in our heads, we have to think about, okay, there's a lot being said in there, okay? There's a bunch, there's three major things. But if we were to just brainstorm, you can use the back of any of the papers that you have, right? But what are some of the things? So Marshall, we know, takes over, right? He becomes Chief Justice in 1800. So he is one of the midnight judges. We just brainstorm one thing right there, right? So what are some of the things that we can brainstorm already in our essay, okay? That we can brainstorm from the time period. What are some things? So we said midnight judges. So if we were to write down John Marshall, right? Chief Justice John Marshall. What are things happening at the time? There's no real right or wrong answer right now, right? Because you're brainstorming, okay? So in terms of the stuff that was happening right before he becomes Chief Justice, stuff that's happening during, and stuff that's happening after. What are some things that we can brainstorm real quick? There's some items. So Jefferson, the Revolution of 1800, right? Jefferson becoming president. Okay, boom. We said midnight judges. What else are things that are happening? It could be domestic, it could be foreign. There's no wrong answer right now. And it helps when you guys actually spit stuff out. What are some of the things that were happening? Domestic and foreign. Think Constitution to 1824, 1830. Okay, what are some things that are happening? So for that, you know, almost 35. Yeah, Jason. Okay, Louisiana Purchase happens. What else happens? The Napoleonic Wars happen. What else is happening? The War of 1812 happens. What else happens? Foreign and domestic. Constitutional Convention, right? That's one right there. So what else? So from 1787 to about 1830. The Embargo Act of 1807. What else is happening? Huh? The Non-Intercourse Act. Okay? What else? And again, some of these may not even go into our essay. It doesn't matter. Okay? What else is happening during this time period? One of the things I think is happening, either A, you're drawing a blank, or B, you're trying to relate them all specifically to him. Okay? I'm asking you to think of foreign and domestic items that take place between the Constitutional Convention to about 1830. We haven't even gotten there, but some things, anything. So the Barbary Pirates, Alien and Sedition Acts, the death of the Federalist Party, Quasi-War, Jay's Treaty, XYZ affair, Lewis and Clark expedition. How about Three-Fifths Compromise? How about Great Compromise? How about Bicameral Congress? How about Judiciary Act of 1789? How about the Cabinet? Very good. Which brings up some other things. Some names? George Washington, Henry Knox, Thomas Jefferson. Who else? Aaron Burr, Alexander Hamilton. Huh? Ron Burr. Okay. What else is going on? Okay. Whiskey Rebellion, Assumption Plan, Bank of the United States. These are all things that are happening. Okay? Marbury versus Madison. So these are all really, really important things that are happening, yes? Okay? So we, based on what we have, we've just drawn a bunch of information from the time period. Okay? Now, the next step is, okay, do we understand the prompt? So we know that there's stuff that was happening during his time as Chief Justice, right? Before, after, during, okay? So we need to make sure that that's going to be some of our outside information. Are some of these things going to be things that we can draw upon? Yes. But isn't it so much easier if we just take all this stuff and throw it down on a piece of paper? And being able to go, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Isn't it so much easier when it's on paper? Right? Then like when we're trying to as we're writing, come up with these, it's so much easier when we can draw on them visually. And this is why we do it. And most students don't do it because it takes 3-4 minutes of effort. That's crazy. Nobody wants to do that, right? But it's actually very helpful to brainstorm. Okay? Again, I told you guys, if you're constipated in here or in here, you got to be able to release somehow. Okay? And it's a lot easier to release all at once than to kind of release gradually and you're kind of really good and then burn. You guys all know what I'm talking about. It's so much better for your tummy and for your brains if you release it all at the beginning, yes? Okay, so now that we've kind of drawn upon these things, we have to understand this big worded question. So it says, describe the ways in which Chief Justice John Marshall rulings. What do we mean by rulings? The decisions, very good. So there were many decisions under his case, under his court. We are only looking at some. Right? So there are many decisions under his court. But it's asking you to relate the decisions to 3 different things. The first one, right? So one of the things you need to do whenever you get a prompt right like this is you have to break it down. So the first thing, it says, establish precedents for national supremacy over states' rights. So what does it mean by establish precedent? What does that mean? Establishing precedent. Yeah. Affirming. Right? So affirming. So we talked, very good that you brought that up because I was going to bring up what nobody did. In both classes I brought up this example. And the reason I bring up these very basic examples to you guys is because sometimes it's a lot easier to relate to the smaller things in life, right? So I told you guys, if your parents make a list of rules, if they never have to enforce the rules, if you never break them, do the rules still exist? Yeah, because they made them. So the question is asking, how do his rulings reaffirm national supremacy over states' rights? What does that mean, national supremacy over states' rights? What are we talking about when we say that? National supremacy. Okay, and the Supreme Court, Sandy, is a part of what level of government? Federal government. So, really, what that's saying is, tell me how his rulings reaffirm that who's in charge, Sandy? The federal government. those of you that I had today for Brown Day, we talked a little bit about that, right? So let me ask you a question. If you're writing an essay, and the first body paragraph is about reaffirming the power of the federal government over the states, what does that tell you about each of these cases? Reaffirming of, not the states, of the federal government. So technically speaking, couldn't you use any of the cases in this first paragraph? Every single one of the cases you have. Every Marshall case can be used as an example in which paragraph? The first one. Why, Jason? And who making the final say? The federal government. Because who has final say in the federal government when it comes to constitutionality? You guys see that? Every one of the cases reaffirms the power of the Supreme Court. Yes? Because who can you appeal to after that? God. Okay? And again, I'm not making fun of, I don't want more to go over God. I'm not making fun of God. But it's funny when you think about it that way, right? They had no one to appeal to. That's it. It's over. That's the last level of government. Okay? So do you see, thumbs up if you see that every one of the Marshall cases reaffirms really, every Supreme Court case reaffirms that, doesn't it? Does that make sense? So every time that you break the one rule your parents have and you get punished every time, what is every time you get punished reaffirmed? There's a rule, right? Like I had a student one time who was like, I keep getting in trouble for being tardy. There's a very simple solution to that. It should be. Yeah, 12 minutes in, yo. Okay? So, there's a very simple solution to that, which is what? Don't be tardy. The rule exists. Oh, I keep getting in trouble. Okay, well, every time that you're tardy and you get in trouble, you reaffirm that exists. So every time the Supreme Court has to decide on something, and there's no one to appeal to, it just strengthens it, right? Does that make sense? It's almost like the Supreme Court was given a body, and every time they rule on something, they do a push-up, right? And what happens to the body every time you do a push-up? No, push-ups don't give you six-pack. But I said push-up.
I know, I was kidding.
This guy's a freak of nature. He does push-ups so hard. All right. So, makes sense? Yes? Okay. The next part, right? Somebody read the next part. What is the second thing we're addressing, guys? Somebody read it real quick. Raise your hand. Who's going to read it? Go for it, Jerry. Defines the roles of the Supreme Court and Congress. What does it mean to define the roles? So if I told you, define the roles of the administrators versus the teachers, would you be able to do that? How? What would you say? What is a role a teacher has? No, what's a role that, so I am a teacher. To teach. My role is to teach. That's the simplest one, right? What is the role of the administrator? Okay, that would be a role. Their job, right, is to evaluate us, yes? Is there a place where you can find what my job is and what their job is? Huh? Can you? Is it written down somewhere? Like this is what Mr. Castro is supposed to do. These are what the administrators are supposed to do. Is there a place where our roles are explicitly written down? No. Student handbook, right? California Code of Ethics and Conduct, right? By teachers and administrators. Oh my God. Is there a place where it is written down what the role of Congress and the role of the Supreme Court is? Oh my God, right? Crazy. It's actually, again, it's one of those things. If it's written down, is it a rule? Yes. It's written down, it's a rule. So, do the Marshall cases establish their rules, or do the Marshall rulings reaffirm their rules?